The massive station hung in space like a metal city among the stars. Nexus Prime was the biggest structure humans had ever seen. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its countless ports. Ambassador Jin So-jun looked out the window of his transport ship as they approached. His stomach felt tight with worry. "First time seeing the council station?" asked Captain Torres, the pilot. Jin nodded. "It's huge. I've seen the pictures. But this is different. Wait until you see the council chamber. Makes you feel pretty small." Jin touched the data pad in his jacket. Everything Earth had worked for was on that device. 3 years of preparing their application to join the Galactic Defense Alliance. 3 years of hope that humanity could finally take its place among the stars. The docking process took 2 hours. Jin's security team stayed close as they walked through corridors filled with aliens he had only seen in videos before. The Vorthak were tall and covered in thick, armor-like skin. The crystalline beings looked like walking diamonds. The ethereals floated without touching the ground. "Ambassador Jin?" A mechanical voice spoke from behind him. Jin turned to see a robot guide. Its blue lights blinked in patterns he didn't understand. "I am Protocol Unit 447. I will escort you to the council chamber. The Strategic Defense Summit begins in 1 hour." They walked through halls that stretched for kilometers. Jin saw weapons and technology that made Earth's best equipment look like stone tools. Energy shields flickered around important areas. Ships flew through the air inside the station itself. "Impressive, is it not?" "Protocol," Unit 447 asked. "Very," Jin replied. He tried to sound confident. The council chamber was exactly what Captain Torres had warned him about. It was enormous. Seats rose up in circles like a huge stadium. At the center sat a platform where speakers would present. Jin estimated that 5,000 beings could fit in this room. "The human delegation will sit in section Z9, the robot guide said. "Your presentation slot is scheduled for 1,400 hours. Jin found his seat among the highest rows. Looking around, he saw delegations from 43 different worlds. Earth's section had just 3 seats. The Vorthak Empire had an entire section of 200 seats. The Crystalline Collective took up 3 sections. "Small delegation," said a voice behind him. Jin turned to see General Thex Moore, the Vorthak military commander. His armor was covered in battle scars, and his 4 arms ended in claws that could crush metal. "We believe in quality over quantity," Jin replied. Vexmore's laugh sounded like grinding stone. "Quality? From the species that still uses chemical rockets? How charming. 4. 4. 4. Number 4. 4. Other nearby delegates began to listen. Jin felt dozens of eyes watching him. "Your application claims Earth can contribute to galactic defense," continued Vexmore. "Tell me, human, how many worlds has your species defended?" "We've defended our own world many times," Jin said. "From what? Other humans?" The Vorthak general's laugh grew louder. "We defend systems from the Void Hunters. We've destroyed planet-killer weapons. What have humans done? Made noise in your small corner of space?" A crystalline delegate floated over. Its voice rang like singing glass. "I have read their military reports. Projectile weapons. No energy shields. Ships that move slower than our cargo vessels. Fascinating," added an ethereal being, its voice echoing from nowhere. "They request to join an alliance they cannot comprehend." More delegates gathered around. Jin stood up, trying to maintain his dignity. "Humanity has qualities that might surprise you," he said. "Such as?" Thexmore asked. "We adapt, we survive, we protect what matters to us." The laughter that followed made Jin's face burn with embarrassment. The Vorthok general wiped tears from his eyes. "Adaptation? Little human, we have weapons that can crack planets. The Crystalline Collective can build a fleet in days. The ethereals can move through dimensions. What can your species do that we cannot do better? I guess we'll find out, Jin said quietly. The formal session began an hour later. Jin watched presentation after presentation. The Zephyrian Commonwealth showed videos of their ships destroying asteroids with single shots. The Metal Brotherhood displayed factories that built starships in hours. The Phantom Syndicate revealed cloaking technology that made entire fleets invisible. When Jin's turn came, the chamber fell silent, except for quiet chuckling. He walked to the central platform. His hands shook as he activated his presentation. Honorable beings of the Galactic Council, he began. Earth requests membership in the Galactic Defense Alliance. He showed Earth's military statistics, their fleet numbers, weapon capabilities, and defensive systems. With each slide, the murmuring grew louder. Is this a joke? Someone called out. Kinetic weapons in the energy age? Another voice shouted. No shields? No dimensional drives? Jin continued his presentation, but his voice was lost in the growing noise. When he finished, the chamber erupted in laughter. Thexmore stood up in his section. Honored Council, I move that Earth's application be rejected immediately. This species is not ready for galactic warfare. They would be a liability. Seconded, called the crystalline delegate. Thirded, added the ethereal representative. Council leader Vex's High, an ancient being from the first galactic civilization, raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Jin, your species shows courage in applying. However, the Galactic Defense Alliance protects trillions of lives across the galaxy. We cannot risk those lives on untested, primitive technology. Jin felt his heart sink. Honorable leader, if you would consider our potential rather than just our current capabilities. Potential? Thexmore interrupted. Young species. We have seen 1,000 civilizations with potential. Most are destroyed by their first real enemy. Your metal toys would last seconds against true threats. The vote was unanimous. 43 worlds voted against Earth's membership. 0 voted in favor. As the session ended, Jin gathered his materials. The crystalline delegate floated over to him. Do not feel ashamed, human. It sang softly. Perhaps in a few hundred years, your species will develop real military capability. Try again then. Jin walked back to his transport ship in silence. His security team said nothing. They had all heard the laughter. They had all seen Earth dismissed as galactically irrelevant. As their ship undocked from Nexus Prime, Jin activated his secure communicator. Admiral Park, he said when the connection opened. How did it go? Admiral Park Minho asked from Earth. Jin looked back at the massive station growing smaller behind them. Perfect, Admiral Park replied. Operation Silent Thunder is authorized. Activate all hidden fleets. It's time to show the galaxy what human toys can really do. Jin smiled for the first time in hours. The Council had made a mistake. They had judged humanity by their technology instead of their character. Tomorrow, they would learn the difference. Admiral Park Minho stood in the command center buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The room buzzed with activity as officers worked at dozens of stations. Holographic displays showed star maps, fleet positions, and tactical data that would have made the Galactic Council very nervous if they knew it existed. Admiral, we have confirmation from Ambassador Jin, reported Commander Lee Yuki. The Council rejected our application. As expected, Park nodded. He was a short man with gray hair and quiet eyes that missed nothing. What was their reasoning? General Thexmore called our ships metal toys. The crystalline delegate questioned our kinetic weapons. They think we're centuries behind in military development. Excellent, Park said. How long have we been planning for this moment, Commander? 15 years since first contact, sir. 7 years of detailed preparation since we learned about the Defense Alliance. Park walked to the main display. It showed the galaxy with hundreds of red dots marking human positions. None of those positions appeared on any official Earth records. 15 years, Park repeated. 15 years of letting them think we're simple. 15 years of hiding our real capabilities. Today, that patience pays off. Captain Sarah Chen approached from the communications station. Admiral, all hidden fleets report ready. Operation Silent Thunder can begin on your command. Park had known this day would come. From humanity's first meeting with alien civilizations, Earth's leaders had made a crucial decision. Let the galaxy see what they expected to see. A young species with primitive technology. Meanwhile, humanity's real military development happened in the shadows. Show me fleet positions, Park ordered. The hologram changed. Red dots appeared throughout the galaxy. Each dot represented a human fleet that officially didn't exist. The Kepler station shipyards had been building ships for 8 years, hidden behind a false asteroid field. The Titan manufacturing complex had produced weapons that no alien had ever seen. The outer colony defense grid contained battle stations that could rival anything the Vorthak Empire possessed. How many ships do we have ready? Park asked. 12,000 combat vessels across 43 fleets, Commander Lee replied. That's not counting support ships, manufacturing vessels, and mobile repair platforms. Park smiled. The Galactic Council thought Earth had maybe 50 military ships. They weren't entirely wrong about that. Earth itself only had 50 ships. But humanity's colonies, hidden bases, and secret facilities had been busy. What about our technological advantages? Park continued. Captain Chen pulled up another display. EMP weaponry is ready. Our tests show it completely disables energy shields and most alien ship systems. Kinetic bombardment systems can punch through any known armor. Our swarm tactics can overwhelm enemy targeting systems. The strategy had taken years to develop. While aliens focused on building bigger energy weapons and stronger shields, humanity had studied their weaknesses. Energy shields worked perfectly against energy weapons, but they barely slowed down physical projectiles. Alien ships had powerful weapons but terrible armor. Their tactical systems expected enemies to fight like they did. Dr. Kim's report on alien psychology? Park asked. Here, sir. Commander Lee activated another screen. Dr. Kim's analysis shows that most galactic civilizations develop similar military thinking. They value individual ship power over fleet coordination. They rely on superior technology rather than superior tactics. They expect enemies to announce themselves and fight honorably. Park had read the report many times. Dr. Kim Sung-min was humanity's best expert on alien cultures. His conclusion was simple. The galaxy had forgotten how to fight a real war. They had grown comfortable with their technological advantages. They expected wars to be settled by who had better energy shields or stronger plasma cannons. They've never faced an enemy that thinks differently, Park murmured. Sir? Commander Lee asked. The aliens. They've been the most advanced species for so long. They've forgotten what it's like to be challenged. They expect everyone to fight their way. Park walked to another station where Lieutenant Park Ji-won was monitoring alien communications. Report, Lieutenant. The council members are celebrating, sir. General Thexmore is hosting a victory party on his flagship. They're making jokes about teaching humans their place and protecting the galaxy from primitive species. Are they moving their fleets? No, sir. Standard peacetime positions. They see no threat from us. Perfect. Park had hoped for exactly this response. Arrogance would be the galaxy's downfall. Admiral, called Colonel Han from the tactical station. We're receiving reports from our deep space monitoring stations. Want to see what our hidden sensors have discovered about alien fleet dispositions? Show me. The display revealed something that made Park almost feel sorry for the Galactic Council. Their fleets were positioned for fighting each other, not for defending against external threats. The Vorthak Empire kept most ships near their borders with the Crystalline Collective. The Ethereal Dominion maintained defensive positions around their home systems. Everyone watched everyone else. But no one watched the edges of known space, where humanity had been building its secret fleets. They're not even talking to each other, Colonel Hahn continued. Each species maintains separate communication networks. No unified command structure. If we hit them simultaneously, they won't be able to coordinate responses. Park nodded. This was another human advantage. Earth's colonies all used the same communication protocols. Human fleets could share information instantly across the galaxy. Alien species, despite their alliance, still didn't trust each other enough to share their best technology. What about their manufacturing capabilities? Park asked. Dr. Martinez stepped forward from the intelligence station. Limited, sir. Most alien civilizations have a few major shipyards. They build expensive, complex vessels slowly. Our hidden factories can produce ships 10 times faster using modular construction methods. And if they destroy our visible fleets, we can replace them in weeks using our hidden production capacity. They'll think they won, but we'll just bring out more ships. Park felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders. Earth was about to reveal 15 years of careful preparation. The galaxy would learn that humanity had been playing a much deeper game than anyone suspected. Sir, Commander Lee said softly, are we really going to do this? Attack 43 different civilizations simultaneously? We're not attacking civilians, Park replied. We're neutralizing military threats. There's a difference. He called up the tactical plans that had been refined hundreds of times. Each target was a military installation, fleet position, or strategic stronghold. No civilian populations would be harmed. No colonies would be damaged. This would be a demonstration of force, not a massacre. Our goal is simple, Park announced to the command center. Show the galaxy that Earth deserves respect. Prove that humans can defend themselves and their allies. Force the Galactic Council to take us seriously. And if they surrender quickly? Captain Chen asked. Then we'll have achieved our objective without excessive destruction. But based on Dr. Kim's psychological profiles, they won't surrender until they understand they can't win. Park walked to the primary command station. Around him, hundreds of officers prepared for the largest military operation in human history. Send the activation codes to all fleet commanders, he ordered. Operation Silent Thunder begins in 6 hours. Yes, sir, replied dozens of voices. As the communications went out, Park thought about Ambassador Jin's humiliation at the council session. The aliens had laughed at humanity's primitive weapons. They had dismissed Earth's military as toys. Tomorrow, they would discover that the toys were just what they had been allowed to see. The real weapons had been hidden away, waiting for this moment. General Thexmore woke to the sound of alarms screaming through his flagship. The massive Vorthak dreadnought shook as emergency lights flashed red. Thexmore rolled from his sleeping platform and grabbed his armor. Report! He roared as he stormed onto the bridge. Sir, we have unknown contacts dropping out of hyperspace throughout the sector, his tactical officer replied, voice shaking. Hundreds of ships, possibly thousands. Thexmore's 4 eyes focused on the main display. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Ships were appearing everywhere. Not the handful of primitive human vessels he expected, but massive fleets arranged in perfect attack formations. Identification? The ships, sir, they're human. Impossible. Humans have maybe 50 ships in their entire fleet. Sir, our sensors show over 800 human vessels in this sector alone. They're moving into attack positions around our border stations. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on alien flagships. Admiral Crystalex of the Collective watched in horror as human fleets emerged from hyperspace jumps with mathematical precision. The ships appeared simultaneously around 12 major star systems, cutting off retreat routes and surrounding strategic targets. How many human ships are there? Crystalex sang in distress. Computing. Over 12,000 vessels confirmed, Admiral. They've surrounded our main shipyards, defense platforms, and fleet concentrations. On the ethereal command ship, Admiral Ghostwind felt something he had not experienced in 3 centuries. Fear. The humans had not just brought more ships than expected. They had brought the right ships to the right places at exactly the right time. Their coordination is perfect, he whispered to his officers. How did they map our positions so precisely? And the answer was 15 years of careful observation. Human spy satellites, hidden in asteroid belts, and disguised as space debris, had been watching alien movements since first contact. Every fleet position, every patrol route, every defensive weakness had been recorded and analyzed. General Thex Moore watched the human fleet complete its formation. The ships moved with purpose and discipline that reminded him of his own best units. But these weren't the primitive vessels he had mocked yesterday. Weapons analysis, he ordered. Sir, the human ships are different from our intelligence reports. They're larger, more heavily armed, and they're using technologies we've never seen before. On the main screen, Thex Moore could see the human battle formation. Instead of large, powerful individual ships like Vorthak tradition, the humans used coordinated groups of smaller vessels. Each group moved like a single organism, covering angles of attack and supporting each other perfectly. Incoming communication from the human fleet, his communications officer reported. Put it through. The face that appeared on screen belonged to Admiral Park Min-ho. He looked calm and professional, nothing like the nervous ambassador who had been humiliated the day before. General Thex Moore, Park said politely, I am Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Force. You have 1 hour to power down your weapons systems and prepare to receive boarding parties. Thex Moore's laugh was harsh. Human Admiral? You may have more ships than we expected, but quantity means nothing against Vorthak battle technology. Our energy shields and plasma cannons will destroy your primitive fleet. I appreciate your confidence, General. However, I should mention that we've been studying your technology for quite some time. We've found some interesting weaknesses. And weaknesses? Vorthak ships are invincible. We'll see. Admiral Park out. The communication ended. Thex Moore turned to his weapons officer. Charge all plasma batteries. Raise full shields. Show these humans why the Vorthak Empire rules this sector. The flagship's weapons powered up with a humming that vibrated through the hull. Energy shields flickered to life around the massive ship. Thex Moore felt confident again. Vorthak technology had never failed him. Target the lead human ships, he ordered. Fire when ready. Brilliant plasma bolts shot across space toward the human fleet. Thex Moore watched with satisfaction as the energy beams struck their targets. But his satisfaction turned to confusion when the human ships kept coming. Damage report on enemy vessels, he demanded. Sir, there's no damage. The plasma bolts went right through them. Impossible. Our weapons can destroy asteroids. Sir, I think they're using some kind of stealth technology. The ships we're targeting might not be real. Before Thex Moore could respond, the real human attack began. From positions his sensors couldn't detect, thousands of kinetic projectiles streaked toward his fleet. The metal slugs moved at incredible speed, guided by targeting systems that had been tracking alien ships for hours. Shields up! Thex Moore shouted. The energy shields activated perfectly. They had stopped every energy weapon ever fired at them. But as the kinetic projectiles struck, something terrible happened. The shields, designed to deflect energy, barely slowed down the physical impacts. Metal slugs punched through shield barriers like they weren't there. Explosions rippled across Vorthak ships as kinetic rounds tore through armor plating. The hull of Thex Moore's flagship rang like a bell as dozens of projectiles struck home. Impossible, Thex Moore whispered. How can primitive kinetic weapons penetrate our defenses? His tactical officer's voice shook as he replied, "Sir, our shields were designed to stop energy weapons. These kinetic projectiles are using a completely different approach. Our defenses can't handle them." Similar disasters struck alien fleets throughout the galaxy. The Crystalline Collective's beautiful crystal ships shattered under kinetic bombardment. Their energy-based construction had never been tested against simple physical impacts. Ethereal vessels, built to phase through energy attacks, couldn't phase through solid metal, moving at high speed. On Nexus Prime, Council Leader Vex High watched emergency reports flood in from across the galaxy. "Status report from all sectors," he commanded. "Sir, human fleets have engaged our forces in 12 systems simultaneously. Early reports show significant damage to our ships." "How significant?" "Sir, in the Vorthak sector, General Thex Moore's fleet has lost 40% of its ships in the first 20 minutes of combat." "What? That's impossible. Vorthak's shields are impenetrable." "The humans aren't using energy weapons, sir. They're using kinetic bombardment that bypasses our shield technology entirely." Vex High felt the weight of his 3,000 years pressing down on him. In all his experience, he had never seen anything like this. The humans had found weaknesses in galactic military technology that no one had even considered. "Get me a direct line to this Admiral Park," he ordered. Meanwhile, the human fleets pressed their advantage. They didn't stop to celebrate their initial success. Instead, they moved to the next phase of their operation. Boarding pods launched from human ships, carrying teams trained specifically for capturing alien vessels intact. The pods used the same principles as their weapons. Instead of trying to match alien technology, they used approaches aliens hadn't prepared for. Simple cutting torches burned through hull armor that could withstand plasma cannons. Human soldiers in basic armor moved through alien ships that had been designed to stop energy-based threats. General Thexmore watched in amazement as human boarding teams took control of Vorthak vessels. The soldiers didn't use advanced energy weapons. They carried simple projectile guns and explosive charges. But they moved with coordination and purpose that overwhelmed the confused alien crews. "How are they doing this?" he asked his tactical officer. "Sir, I think they've been planning this for years. Every move they make shows detailed knowledge of our ship layouts, our technology, our standard operating procedures. They know exactly how we fight, but we know nothing about how they fight." The truth was even worse than Thexmore realized. Humanity had spent 15 years preparing for this exact scenario. Every alien ship type had been studied. Every weakness had been cataloged. Every tactical doctrine had been analyzed and countered. As the morning progressed, the scope of humanity's preparation became clear. They hadn't just built ships. They had built a complete war machine designed specifically to defeat galactic civilization's military forces. And it was working perfectly. Admiral Park stood in his command center, watching data streams from battlefields across the galaxy. Each screen showed the same story. Human tactics working exactly as planned. After 3 hours of combat, alien forces were discovering that their centuries of technological superiority meant nothing against an enemy that fought completely differently. "Admiral, we have General Thexmore requesting direct communication," reported Commander Lee. "Put him through." The Vorthak general's face appeared on screen. His armor was cracked, and 2 of his 4 eyes showed signs of injury. Behind him, his flagship's bridge sparked with damaged equipment. "Admiral Park," Thexmore said, his voice heavy with something that might have been respect. "How did you do this?" "Do what, General?" "Defeat us so completely. Our technology should have given us easy victory. Instead, my fleet is crippled, and your ships barely have scratches." Park considered his answer carefully. "General, your technology is impressive, but you made the same mistake every galactic civilization has made for centuries." "What mistake?" "You assumed that better technology automatically means better military capability. You forgot that warfare is about thinking, not just about having the biggest weapons. Explain. Park gestured to a tactical display showing the Vorthax sector. Your shields stop energy weapons perfectly. But you never considered physical projectiles moving at high velocity. Your ships are individually powerful, but you never developed coordinated fleet tactics. Your weapons can destroy planets, but you can't hit small, fast-moving targets that work together. Thex Moore studied the display. Human ships moved in complex patterns around his remaining fleet. They didn't rely on single, powerful vessels. Instead, groups of smaller ships supported each other, creating overlapping fields of fire and defense. Your ships repair each other during battle, Thexmore observed. Modular construction, Park explained. Every human ship carries repair drones and spare parts. We designed our fleet to adapt and survive, not just to look impressive. Park explained. This was the heart of human military doctrine. While aliens built beautiful, complex ships that took months to repair, human vessels could be fixed quickly in the field. Damaged human ships didn't retreat to distant shipyards. They formed up with repair vessels that could restore them to fighting condition within hours. Captain Chen approached Park with another report. Admiral, the Crystalline Sector update. Park read quickly. The Crystalline Collective's crystal ships had been even more vulnerable than expected. Their energy-based construction made them incredibly powerful against other energy users. But kinetic impacts shattered their carefully grown hulls like glass. Admiral Crystalex is requesting terms for surrender, Chen continued. What are our casualties in that sector? 12 human ships damaged, none destroyed. The crystalline forces lost 70% of their fleet. Park nodded. The numbers were similar across all battle zones. Human losses remained minimal, while alien forces suffered devastating defeats. It wasn't because human ships were stronger. It was because human tactics were completely different from anything the galaxy had seen. Sir, called Lieutenant Park from the communications station. Council Leader Vex High is demanding to speak with you directly. Transfer the call to my private office. Park walked to a smaller room adjacent to the main command center. The holographic projector activated, showing the ancient alien leader. Vex High looked older than his 3,000 years. Admiral Park, Vex High began. What do you want? I want the same thing Ambassador Jin wanted yesterday. Respect for humanity and equal membership in the Galactic Defense Alliance. This is how you request membership? By attacking us? Park's expression remained calm. Yesterday, your council laughed at humanity. You called us primitive. You said our technology was inadequate. You dismissed us as galactically irrelevant. Perhaps we made an error in judgment. Perhaps, Council Leader. Your military leaders called human ships metal toys. They questioned whether we had ever defended anything. They wondered what humans could possibly contribute to galactic defense. Park activated a display showing battle results across the galaxy. I believe we've answered those questions. Lux 9. Vex High studied the tactical reports. In less than 4 hours, human forces had effectively neutralized the military capabilities of every major galactic power. Not through destruction, but through superior strategy and coordination. How long have you been planning this operation? Vex High asked. 15 years. Since first contact, we knew this day might come. You've been preparing for war for 15 years? No, Park corrected. We've been preparing for respect for 15 years. War was just the method you forced us to use. The truth was more complex than Park revealed. Humanity's leaders had studied galactic civilization carefully after first contact. They recognized that galactic species respected strength above all else. Peaceful cooperation was only possible between equals. As long as aliens saw humans as primitive and weak, true partnership would be impossible. Your casualties are remarkably low, Vex High observed, reading the reports. We didn't come here to commit genocide, Council Leader. We came to prove a point. And it was true. Human boarding teams had captured alien ships without massacring their crews. Human weapons targeted ship systems, not life support. Human tactics aimed to disable and capture, not to destroy. What happens now? Vexhai asked. That depends on you. We can continue this demonstration until every alien military force in the galaxy is neutralized. Or we can discuss humanity's membership in the Defense Alliance as equals. Dr. Kim's psychological profile had predicted this moment. Galactic civilizations would only respect humanity after seeing human military capability firsthand. But they would only trust humanity if human victory was followed by mercy and cooperation rather than conquest. Admiral, Vexhai said slowly. Suppose we were to reconsider humanity's application for Alliance membership. Full membership, Park clarified. With equal voting rights and equal access to Alliance resources. And in return, humanity offers the same thing we offered yesterday. Our military capabilities in defense of Alliance member worlds. The difference is that now you know what those capabilities actually include. Park activated another display. This one showed human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked permanent human bases that had been hidden for years. Blue dots showed mobile fleets that could respond to threats within days. Green dots marked manufacturing centers that could replace losses quickly. As you can see, humanity's defensive network is already in place. We've been protecting this galaxy for years. You just didn't know it. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. It was another revelation that stunned Vexhai. Human forces hadn't appeared from nowhere. They had been stationed throughout galactic space for years, watching for external threats and preparing to defend inhabited worlds. Why didn't you tell us about these forces? Because you wouldn't have believed us. Yesterday, you laughed at our visible fleet. Would you have taken our hidden fleets seriously? Vexhai considered this. Probably not. The Council's arrogance had been complete. Even proof of human military capability might have been dismissed as trickery or luck. Admiral Park, Vexhai said finally, I believe the Galactic Council needs to hold an emergency session. I agree. Ambassador Jin will represent humanity's interests. The same ambassador we rejected yesterday? The same ambassador you mocked and dismissed yesterday. I trust you'll show him more respect this time. The communication ended, leaving Park alone with his thoughts. Outside, human fleets maintained their positions around defeated alien forces. They weren't celebrating or pillaging. They were providing humanitarian aid and technical assistance to damaged alien ships. Commander Lee entered the office. Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from 6 more species. What are your orders? Accept all surrenders. Begin humanitarian operations immediately. Show them that humans can be gracious in victory. And if they try to regroup for counterattacks? Park smiled slightly. Commander, they've seen what happens when they underestimate humanity. I don't think they'll make that mistake twice. As the day progressed, the galaxy learned a new truth. Humans weren't the primitive species everyone had assumed. They were the most dangerous military force galactic civilization had ever encountered. But they were also the most merciful. It was a combination that would reshape galactic politics forever. 3 days after the human fleets emerged from hyperspace, Ambassador Jin Sojun walked through the same corridors of Nexus Prime, but everything had changed. The aliens who passed him in the halls no longer laughed or whispered. They stepped aside respectfully, their eyes showing a mixture of fear and curiosity. Protocol Unit 447 met him at the docking bay again. The robot's blue lights seemed dimmer than before. Ambassador Jin, the unit said, the council chamber has been prepared for the emergency session. All member species have confirmed attendance. I imagine they have, Jin replied. The walk to the council chamber felt different this time. Jin noticed things he hadn't seen before. The weapons displays that had seemed so impressive 3 days ago now looked crude and outdated. The technology that had made him feel small now seemed limited and inflexible. When they reached the chamber, Jin stopped in surprise. Instead of being seated in the highest section with the smallest delegations, a place of honor had been prepared for him on the main floor. The chair was positioned where he could address the entire assembly directly. The human delegation has been relocated to Section A1, Protocol Unit 447 explained. Council Leader Vex High's orders. Jin took his new seat and looked around the chamber. It was full, just like 3 days ago. But the atmosphere was completely different. No one was laughing. No one was making jokes. The delegates sat quietly, many of them showing signs of recent stress. General Thexmore sat with his delegation, his armor still bearing scars from the battle. Admiral Crystalex's crystal form had several fractures that were slowly healing. The ethereal representatives seemed less solid than usual, as if their confidence had been shaken at a fundamental level. Council Leader Vex High called the session to order. His ancient voice carried across the chamber with new gravity. Honored delegates, we convene this emergency session to reconsider the application of Earth for membership in the Galactic Defense Alliance. The chamber remained silent. No one interrupted with mocking comments this time. Ambassador Jin, Vex High continued, the Council would like to hear humanity's revised proposal for Alliance membership. Jin stood and walked to the central platform. He carried the same datapad as before, but he wouldn't need to use it. The galaxy had seen humanity's capabilities firsthand. Honored beings of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice calm and confident. 3 days ago, I stood in this same place and requested humanity's admission to the Galactic Defense Alliance. You rejected our application, stating that our technology was primitive and our military capabilities were inadequate. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, but they were uncomfortable rather than mocking. Today, I return with the same request. Earth still wishes to join the Alliance as an equal partner in galactic defense. However, the terms of our membership must be different than what we proposed before. What terms do you propose? Vex High asked. Full membership with equal voting rights. Access to all Alliance technology and intelligence. Joint command authority over Alliance military operations. And most importantly, recognition that humanity's approach to warfare brings unique value to galactic defense. The chamber buzzed with conversation. These were not the terms of a supplicant begging for admission. These were the demands of a military power negotiating from a position of strength. General Thexmore stood up in his section. Ambassador Jin, before we discuss terms, I have a question. Yes, General? How long have your fleets been watching us? Jin smiled slightly. General, human observation satellites have been monitoring galactic space for 8 years. We know the patrol routes of every Alliance fleet, the location of every strategic installation, and the defensive capabilities of every member species. The admission sent shockwaves through the chamber. 8 years of spying. 8 years of careful intelligence gathering while pretending to be a young, innocent species. Why? Asked Admiral Crystalex, her voice ringing with confusion. Why hide your true capabilities for so long? Because we needed to understand you before revealing ourselves, Jin explained. Humanity has learned that galactic civilization respects strength, but fears the unknown. We needed to show you that we were strong enough to be your equals, but also predictable enough to be your allies. It was the truth. Dr. Kim's cultural analysis had been clear. Galactic species would only trust humanity after seeing both human power and human restraint. The last 3 days had demonstrated both. Our fleets could have continued their operations, Jin continued. We could have captured every major military installation in the galaxy. Instead, we stopped after proving our point and began humanitarian operations to repair the damage from our demonstration. Council Leader Vex High leaned forward. Why should we trust a species that deceived us for so long? Because, Jin replied, humanity has been protecting this galaxy for years without asking for credit or recognition. Our hidden bases have intercepted 17 potential external threats in the past 5 years. We've prevented 3 asteroid impacts on inhabited worlds. We've provided disaster relief to colonies that didn't even know we existed. Jin activated his datapad and projected a star map showing human defensive operations. The galaxy was dotted with incidents where human forces had quietly dealt with problems that could have threatened Alliance worlds. We didn't announce these operations because we knew you would reject our help. But we couldn't stand by and watch innocent beings suffer when we had the capability to prevent it. The chamber fell silent as delegates absorbed this information. Humanity hadn't just hidden military forces. They had been acting as unofficial galactic protectors for years. What assurance do we have that humans won't use their military superiority to dominate the Alliance? Asked an ethereal delegate. The same assurance you have about each other, Jin replied. None. Every species in this alliance is capable of betraying their allies. The difference is that humanity's actions over the past years have proven our commitment to protecting life rather than conquering it. But your military doctrine is so different from ours, protested a crystalline representative. How can we coordinate defenses when our approaches to warfare are incompatible? Jin had been hoping for this question. That's exactly why humanity's membership is valuable. For centuries, galactic civilization has fought the same way. Energy weapons, individual ship combat, technology-focused strategies. Any enemy that learns to counter your standard approach could devastate the Alliance. He projected tactical analyses of recent human operations. Humanity offers alternative methods. Kinetic weapons that bypass energy shields. Coordinated fleet tactics instead of individual ship duels. Rapid repair and replacement instead of expensive, irreplaceable vessels. Adaptability instead of rigid doctrine. The military representatives in the chamber studied the projections with growing understanding. Human tactics weren't just different. They were complementary to existing galactic approaches. A combined human-alien fleet would be much harder to defeat than either force alone, Jin explained. Enemies would need to counter both energy and kinetic weapons, both individual ship power and coordinated fleet tactics, both technological superiority and tactical flexibility. General Thexmore stood again. Ambassador, I owe your species an apology. 3 days ago, I called your ships metal toys. I mocked your weapons as primitive. I was wrong. Thank you, General, but you weren't entirely wrong. Our visible fleet was exactly what you described. The toys were real. We just didn't show you the real weapons until we needed to. Why reveal everything now? Vexhai asked. You could have continued your deception. Because deception was never our goal, Jin replied. Survival was our goal. Earning respect was our goal. Taking our place as equals in galactic civilization was our goal. We've achieved those objectives. Now we can move forward honestly. The vote, when it came, was unanimous. Every species that had rejected humanity 3 days ago now voted to admit Earth to the Alliance with full privileges. But the terms included provisions that would have been unthinkable before the human demonstration. Joint human-alien command structures were established for Alliance military operations. Human manufacturing techniques would be shared to improve galactic defensive capabilities. Human tactical doctrine would be integrated with existing Alliance strategies. Most importantly, the Alliance Charter was revised to acknowledge that military strength came from thinking and adaptability, not just from advanced technology. As the session ended, Jin found himself surrounded by delegates who had mocked him 3 days earlier. But now they wanted to understand human capabilities, to learn from human successes, to forge partnerships with the species they had dismissed as primitive. Ambassador Jin, General Thexmore said as they left the chamber, I would be honored to visit Earth and see your military facilities. You're welcome anytime, General. But I should warn you, Our most impressive installations are the ones you'll never see." Texmore laughed, but it was a laugh of respect rather than mockery. "I'm beginning to understand that about humans." As Jin returned to his transport ship, he activated his secure communicator. "Admiral Park, the mission is complete. The Alliance has accepted our terms." "Congratulations, Ambassador. How do you feel?" Jin looked back at Nexus Prime, where human ships now docked alongside alien vessels as equals rather than supplicants. "I feel like humanity has finally come home," he replied. "It just took longer than expected to convince the neighbors that we belonged here." In the days that followed, the galaxy began adapting to its new reality. Humanity wasn't the primitive species everyone had assumed. They were the most sophisticated military force galactic civilization had ever produced. But more importantly, they were committed to using that force to protect rather than to conquer. The Council had ridiculed Earth and learned to respect it. The galaxy had dismissed humanity and discovered they needed it. And humanity had proven that sometimes the best way to earn a place at the table was to show that you didn't need permission to sit down. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human partnership with galactic civilization had begun.